We have 750 watts of solar on top of our roof. Is that enough? Well, after living in it for more than a year, the honest answer is sometimes is more than we need and sometimes is nowhere near enough. Because copying somebody else's solar system is the easiest way to get a system that doesn't fit your needs. So I'm going to show you a simple way of calculating it for you, even if you already have your batteries or a limited space on your roof. So we install 3 250 watts solar panels, giving us a total of 750 watts rated solar. They sit on our Unaka roof rack alongside the Max Air fan and the rest of our roof equipment. The panels fit into our EcoFlow Power Kit, which is two 5 kWh batteries, 10 kWh in total, plus the power hub and smart AC and DC distribution panel. But the solar panels are only one part of our charging system. We can also charge from the alternator while driving, and from shore power when it's available. So our system was never solar powers everything. It was always solar, driving, and shore power charge our batteries, and the batteries power everything. That difference is extremely important. Think of a battery like a water tank. The bigger it is, the longer it will last. And the solar like the faucet refilling it. So battery capacity tells you how long can you last without generating more power. And the solar capacity tells you how fast can you refill that power. A 10 kWh battery can last for one person 5 days and for another only one. It depends on what they run. That's why the battery size alone cannot decide how many panels you need. When we first tested our system, only 2 panels were installed because we were waiting for a missing mounting part. Under cloudy conditions, those 2 panels were producing around 60 watts. That wasn't a test of their maximum performance, but it demonstrated something important. A panel marked 250 watts does not constantly produce 250 watts. Clouds, shade, heat, dirt, the season, the sun's angle, and having the panels mounted flat all reduce production. Our roof has 750 watts of solar panels. That's their rated capacity, not a guarantee that 750 watts will constantly come down from the roof. Our 12-volt air conditioner is the load that changes our calculation the most. We originally thought a 10,000 watt-hour battery divided by an air conditioner using around 1,000 watts should give us around 10 hours. But the other appliances continue consuming power. Losses exist, and the air conditioner works harder in extreme heat. We now commonly run it in its lower power mode at around 500 watts, partly because our strongest 12-volt circuit is around 40 amps or roughly 500 watts. Even then, 6 hours of use would consume around 3 kWh. That's why someone with no air conditioning could copy our entire solar setup and get totally different results. So how to find your daily consumption? Start with a list of everything you are going to use. For each appliance you need 2 numbers, the wattage and for how long you are going to use it every single day. You multiply these 2 numbers together and you get your watt hours. For example, 500 watts multiplied by 6 hours is 3000 watts hour. But don't assume every appliance runs continuously. A refrigerator cycles on and off. A water pump may use significant power but only run for a few minutes a day. An induction cooktop consumes a lot, but you may only use it briefly. If your system already exists, use your battery monitor or app and record your actual consumption over several normal days. Include a hot day, a remote work day, and a day where you cook normally. If you are still planning your build, so calculate it with 2 versions, a normal day and a high consumption day. Our major loads include the air conditioner, fridge, oven, the air fryer, induction cooktop, Starlink, water heater, water pump, computers, lights, fans, and camera equipment. Add them all together, then add 15% for losses and breathing room. You don't need to predict everything perfectly, you just need a good starting point. Now estimate your peak sunlight hours. It's not the same like your total daylight. You might have 12 hours between sunrise and sunset, but only 3, 4, or 5 hours of strong sunlight. So here's the formula. Required solar watts equal daily energy needed from solar divided by peak sun hours divided by 0.75. The 0.75 gives us a realistic allowance for normal losses and imperfect conditions. If solar needs to replace 3000 watts hour per day and you expect 4 peak sun hours, so 3000 watts divided by 4 divided by 0.75 gives you roughly 1000 watts of solar. But notice that I've said energy needed from solar, not your entire daily consumption. We'll go back to that. Now, before this becomes a lecture, let's do a reality check. Your calculations will never be perfect, and that's fine, because living in a van changes the way you use electricity. You become much more aware of what's running, what the weather is doing, or how much energy has left. Don't spend the next 6 months trying to figure out every single watt hour perfectly. The goal is to avoid massively undersizing your system and not figuring out every single moment of your future life. This is why we also created the free electrical system guide and our planning tools at unmapproots.com. They are based on the system we actually built and what we learned after living with it, not only what looked correct on paper. If you're planning your system now, you can use those resources to organize the loads and numbers without starting from a completely blank page. If you already have your batteries, don't use their capacity to calculate how much solar you need. Use your daily consumption and decide how much of it you want to replace in a single day. For example, in a 4-hour peak sun day and 75% efficiency, our 750 watt solar panels would generate roughly 2,250 watts hour at that example day. That means that if our batteries were completely empty, they would have to work 4 days or more than 4 days to fill them back up to 100%. But that was never the intent of our solar panel. Our solar was meant to slow down the consumption, especially in the hottest hours of the day. Our AC will draw something like 500 watts hour, and our solar will cover it. We will still use stored energy, but at least much slower. Without solar, loads pull everything from batteries. With solar, solar offsets part of the active loads. And that could turn a battery that lasts only 1 day to last longer, even though the solar never actually refills it. During our original installation, we measured nearly 1000 watts of the alternator charging. That means driving can add energy much faster than our panels do under many real conditions. So shore power is our third option. So if your van uses, for example, 3000 watts hour a day, and you generate while driving 1000 and you make another 2000 from your solar, so are more or less break it even. But you need to be honest about your traveling style, because if you stay parking for a week in one place, you will for sure need shore power eventually. After leaving the US, reliable shore power became harder to assume. We found campsites and outlets through Mexico and Central America with unstable voltage or very limited available current. Our EcoFlow system allows us to limit how much current we pull from questionable connections, which has been useful. But an outlet existing doesn't make it a dependable charging plan. That made solar and alternator charging much more important for us than they might be for someone staying in conventional campgrounds. So here are some practical examples using 4 peak sun hours. The first number assumes perfect rated production, which you should not expect. The second includes the 75% real-world efficiency estimate. The last column rounds that result to panel combinations you might actually install. Those are examples, not universal recommendations. With less sun, you will need more solar panels. But if you drive regularly or use shore power, you will need less. And once you add heavy appliances like an air conditioner, this can make your calculations give you larger numbers. That doesn't mean your van cannot support those appliances. It just means solar cannot be your only charging source. Our roof also has a fan, a rack, and other equipment competing for space. If your calculation says 1000 watts, but your roof only fits 600, you have 4 options. Add alternator or shore charging, reduce consumption, increase battery capacity so you can go longer between charging opportunities, or use a combination of all 3. If your roof budget and solar controller allow it, I would install more than the absolute minimum because ideal conditions rarely exist. So would I install our 750 watt solar panels again? Yes, it's a practical amount for our roof space and gives us silent power while we are parked. But what makes it work is a combination of the solar, the alternator, and the shore power, and it's not a standalone by itself. Another thing is that if we remove the air conditioning, so our calculations completely change. So the panels are actually the final step. You first need to calculate for the places you are going to travel, then decide how much of that energy is going to come come from your solar. Now let me know two things in the comment section. What is your solar plans and what is the biggest electrical load of your van? Because if someone tells me only their solar wattage, I still know nothing about their system and if it is actually going to work. These 3 solar panels look like our electrical system, but the real system is everything that is happening underneath them. See you next time. Bye.